Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, numerous fatalities in South Florida high school shooting. Suspect now in custody. Let's take a listen to the video right now. Okay, there you go on that video and that report. At least 14 people were injured and numerous fatalities confirmed in the shooter situation in South Florida at a high school Wednesday afternoon. According to authorities, the suspect opened fire in the area of the school. The person was later detained near the school, but wasn't specific if they were inside the school building at any time. So far, authorities have not said if there is a second suspect. Authorities have not confirmed the name of the suspect who was detained at this time. The Broward County Sheriff's Office called in the SWAT team to Major Stoneman Douglas High School, where the suspect opened fire Wednesday. The FBI was briefed on the situation as well. They tweeted, "Shooter is now in custody. Scene is still active." The Broward County School District tweeted in a statement today, "Close to Major Stoneman Douglas High School's dismissal, students and staff heard what sounded like gunfire. The school immediately went on lockdown, but is now dismissing students. We are receiving reports of possibly multiple injuries. Law enforcement is on site." WSVN reported that students on the ground outside of the school were being attended to by first responders. Some students and teachers were seen running from the building, while others were being escorted out by heavily armed law enforcement. Margaret Fire Rescue has been deemed a mass casualty incident, which means there could be from 20 to 50 people injured. The superintendent for Broward County Schools said there was numerous fatalities, but did not have a specific number. Teachers and students still within the school were asked to stay put and hide until given further instructions. The Coral Springs Police Department tweeted students/teachers #Douglas High School remain barricaded inside until police reach you. Parents of students at the high school and nearby middle school were informed that the middle school was also put on lockdown as a precaution. President Trump tweeted his condolence. My prayers and condolence to the families of the victim of the terrible Florida shooting. No child, teacher, or anyone else should have ever feel unsafe in an American school. Governor Scott tweeted, I've spoken with Broward Sheriff Scott Israel, Superintendent Robert, and FDLE Commissioner Rick regarding Stoneman Douglas High School. Will continue to receive updates from law enforcement, he said. Also, First Lady and Marco Rubio also tweeted as well. And we will keep you updated on this breaking news coverage as we get more information into our newsroom. Man accused in 1988 death of 2 women pleads guilty. A man charged in connection with the death of 2 women pleaded guilty Wednesday on 2 counts of second-degree murder. David Kaplan was extradited from Canada in 2015 to face charges in the death of Charlanne Ranstone and Barbara Warren. The 2 women were found between the stabbed to death in 1988. During the hearing, Kaplan apologized for his roles in the killing. Under the plea agreement, Kaplan will testify against a second-degree assault attorney, Barbara, when his case goes to trial. The plea deal calls for Kaplan to serve 7.5 years in state prison on each charge. Kaplan agreed to return to Canada after he completes his minimum sentence, never return. Boston radio journalist fired over allegations of touching bullying. Tom Ashbrook, host of the syndicated National Public Radio On Point, was dismissed Wednesday by Boston-based WBUR. Ashbrook was previously suspended after 11 men and women brought allegations against him to managers in December. Boston University, which operates the radio station, said a law firm and consulting firm conduct a pair of investigation into Ashbrook's alleged conduct. Officials said that the investigation involved interviews with employees, managers, and Ashbrook himself. The law firm review in particular determined that Ashbrook's conduct was not sexual in nature and did not constitute sexual harassment under BU's policy, WBUR said. Cookies, possibly laced with marijuana, seized in Maine daycare. A possibly marijuana-laced batch of cookies were seized by police from a Bangor daycare Wednesday after staff say they ate them and felt high, police said. Police responded to Watch Me Shine daycare on Gilman Avenue around 9 a.m. The children at the daycare did not eat any of the cookies. The daycare closed as the public interviewed for the job. All the cookies were seized. And now let's take a look at your U.S. markets and see how your U.S. markets close this evening. And here's a look at those markets right now. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the green and went up. NASDAQ closed in the green and went up. S&P 500 closed in the green and went up. CNBC IQ 100 closed in the green and went up. Gold closed in the green and went up. Oil closed in the green and went up. US 10-year closed in the green and went up. Euro/USD closed in the green and went up. VIX closed in the red and went down. Dow surges 253 points post 4-day winning streak. Stocks rose sharply on Wednesday, notching a 4-day winning streak as banks and techs carried major indexes higher. They rose a jump in bond yields. Trump passes Senate on his immigration priorities. Let's take a listen to the video from ABC News.
Not sure to drum at the White House either. We're going to go back there right now where the scandal over how top officials handled domestic abuse allegations against top aide Rob Porter continues to grow. In dramatic testimony, the FBI director flatly contradicted the White House storyline, jeopardizing the job of Staff Chief John Kelly. Our senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega is tracking all the latest. Good morning, Cecilia.
George, good morning to you. That White House story has been shifting for days, and we are still nowhere closer to knowing who knew what and when. It was their go-to line for days.
The process for the background was ongoing.
His background investigation was ongoing.
The White House repeatedly insisting the investigation into former Staff Secretary Rob Porter was still open, and that's why he stayed on the job despite those domestic abuse allegations, which he denies. The FBI conducting that investigation now says that's not the case. Director Christopher Wray told the Senate Intelligence Committee his agents actually gave the White House 4 reports on Porter as far back as last spring. And that's not all.
We administratively closed the file in January.
Facing repeated questions about the contradiction, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders now blames a little-known White House office, the White House Personnel Security Office.
They had not completed their process and made a recommendation to the White House for adjudication.
But just a day earlier,
This is a process that doesn't operate within the White House.
from the president himself, still no mention of the women.
Mr. President, do you believe Rob Porter's ex-wives? Do you believe Rob Porter's ex-wives, Mr. President?
Does the president believe the women?
Again, the president takes all of these accusations very seriously. He believes in due process.
Chief of Staff John Kelly at the center of the firestorm, reportedly having known about the allegations for months, tells the Wall Street Journal he wouldn't have handled the situation differently, saying, quote, "It was all done right." Is the White House still maintaining that John Kelly really had no idea about these allegations of domestic abuse until this story broke?
I can only give you the best information that I have, and that's my understanding.